Competition is good. Comparison is bad. See, have you ever seen someone, and they're particularly good at something, right? They're very high ranking on the social ladder, and instantly as you see them, a shock goes through your nerves and your body, and it's like 1,000 volts of electricity, and you feel like, oh shit, he's actually very good at what he does. And you start feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not as good as him. And in a way, that's a good thing, right? Because it snaps you back into reality. See, it is a dog-eat-dog world out there. And because we live in the West, because we live in such a cozy society and everything's kind of catered for, and everything is just like kind of nice and courteous, you forget that reality, but it's very real. See, if you leave the West, if you leave like where we live in America and Europe and the Middle East and places like this, right, which are developed, when you go out of these areas and you go to some of the third world countries, or when you go to a different country, you will see the barbaric nature of competitiveness. People will do whatever they need to do in order to get what they want. There is no niceness involved. There is no courtesy involved. There's no consideration. And that snap back into reality, that is so important. That million volts of electricity that just goes through you and you're all frozen and you're all like, I don't know what to do, he kind of scares me, or this kind of scares me, or he's so much better than me. That is simply because you're not used to comparing yourself to other people. You're not used to competing with other people. People in other countries, people in places where there is a high amount of competition, right? For example, in certain South Asian countries, they compete for university spots. So 99.99 will beat 99.98 when it comes to like university admissions. It is so barbaric in the terms of like social competition. You don't have that. And it's a funny thing in it, because all throughout our high school lives and our college lives and university, they're all telling us like, you don't need to be competitive. It's not a game, it's not a competition. Just take part. And years of that culture have basically created this kind of fragile confidence. It's confident on the outside. They're very good at like talking to people. They're very good at like being politically correct and being polite. But one shatter of that confidence, everything falls apart. One punch to that confidence, one hit to that confidence, everything falls apart, and they're all in pieces all the time. They have fragile confidence, not anti-fragile confidence. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. You know, at the start of the video, I said let's distinguish between comparison and competition. Comparison is the bad one. Competition is the good one. See, comparison looks a little bit like this. You look at someone and you go, oh, he's so good, I can never be like that. And you get like kind of stuck in this loop, right? You see someone who's better than you, you get that million volts of electricity go through you and you're shocked. And then you kind of forget about it. You run away. You forget about it. You hide yourself. You hide your head in the sand. And then everything goes fine and you don't see them anymore and everything's fine. And you go back to your chill, non-competitive life. Then, sooner or later in life, you run into someone like that again. Someone who's good at speaking. Someone who's good at getting girls. Someone who's good at getting a job interview. Someone who is more socially active than you. And you get that million volts of electricity back into your neurons, into your nerves, and you get shocked again. And then you go in this cycle. You run away, you encounter this problem. You never solve it. You never address the cause. And it's kind of stupid, like, isn't it? Because, like, there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone richer than you, stronger than you, harder than you, right? There's going to be someone taller than you that look better than you. And if you never address this problem, aren't you in that trap that just goes round and round and round? And isn't that basically just slavery? And that's not really the worst path to take, right? That's not really the worst mentality to have. There are more sinister mentality. There are more crazy, weird, dark mentalities when it comes to this comparison. Because there's people like these black pillars, right? And they're like, oh, he's so bad at this, he's so bad at that. And they kind of hate life. Everyone is better than them. And instead of trying to improve themselves, they just constantly hate on other people. These fat, ugly people on the internet, those keyboard warriors that constantly comment on your videos, comment on my videos sometimes. Most of my videos are actually very, very nice and generous, right? But there are these one odd comments that come across and you're like, do you have nothing to do with your life? That's the kind of apathy that people have, you know, when you have this kind of comparison mentality in your head. So just because you get scared when you see other people and you gotta go hide in your little sand hole, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that you're like, you're lost cause. These people are though, right? So you still got hope. See, that is what comparison is. Not very nice, is it? But competitiveness, competition, is different. That generally just sums up comparison, right? It's kind of pathetic. Like, it's kind of a waste of a life. Imagine just constantly comparing yourself to others and saying, like, oh, this person is higher than me on the social ladder, I have to put him on a pedestal. Or this person is lower than me on the social ladder, so I have to treat them bad. It's kind of pointless. It's kind of like a mental construct which is defining your life and wrecking your life at the same time. But competition. Listen to me when it comes to competition. Repeat after me. Please just repeat after me. Everything is a competition. Competition is very much a masculine thing. If you become more competitive, you will start feeling more like a man. And when you start feeling more like a man, you will start feeling better. Because that's what you're supposed to be doing. Very, very simple, isn't it? You know that feeling of electricity I've just been talking about for the last 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and I've been keeping ranting about it? That thing, whenever you get that when you see someone, which is a natural human thing to have, what happens when you think in a different way? What happens when you say, actually, instead of seeing myself as inferior, I'm going to see him as my competition? And trust me, there is no better feeling than outranking someone or becoming better than someone or improving yourself to a point where you can actually have an equal footing, maybe even a higher footing than this individual that you used to be intimidated by. There is no better feeling than that. Don't listen to these soy-drinking idiots that tell you that competition is bad, you shouldn't be competitive, you should just take part and be nice. Maybe I've just been watching too much YouTube, maybe I've just been scrolling too much on Instagram, but I am convinced that there is a global agenda in order to make you so docile so they can control you. And as a rule of thumb, if anybody tells you that you're being too competitive or you're being insecure by being competitive, get rid of them. They're not worth your time, they are bad for you, and they're going to derail your life. Just, these people are not worth your time. Get rid of them. See, when you become competitive, when you actively chase something, and when you see other people as your competition, you put yourself as equal ranking to them. See, if you have someone in your mind when I told you that, and this whole concept of social ranking and thinking other people are higher than you and lower than you, and you can't be as good as this guy or you can't be as bad as this guy, this kind of disappears, right? Because when you're competitive, you're in a predator-prey mindset. Everything and anything is directed towards the task of achieving that mission, of completing that mission, hunting your prey. See, if you were a caveman and you were going to spear a mammoth, are you going to be scared that the mammoth is 4, 5, 6 times as big as you? No, you're focused on the task. You're focused on bringing that mammoth down, right, the hairy elephant down, or pushing it off the cliff so your family can eat. When you focus on the task, when you're competitive, when you have an aim, this whole social ranking, this kind of insecurity, disappears. What does that tell you? Man, do, thing, make man confident. And it's the same thing when you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing. You become the predator, they become the prey. Let's not even think about the predator-prey thing because it might get a bit confusing. If you start treating other people as your competition, they're, let's just say, particularly good at something, or that they are excelling in a certain field, and you treat them like equal footing, and you treat them like you're on your level, they're going to start respecting you a lot more. Simply because they know they're good at something, and a whole lot of other people are trying to suck up to them and be their friend. If you talk to them, and if you act like them, like that they're your competition, they're going to respect you a lot more for it, because you're real. So not only will you feel masculine, not only will you feel confident, but you also gain respect. Can you see how all of this is kind of like compounding? Just because you've changed your mindset from comparison to competition. Now, it's all about kind of like de-idolizing this person that you feel intimidated by, or de-idolizing a specific type of person that you're intimidated by, bringing them down from that pedestal and saying, actually, you're good. I want to beat you. And the quickest way to actually do this and go and de-idolize this person is go and talk to this individual. When you talk to an individual, no matter how big they are or how grand that they appear, and you will start noticing flaws in their behavior. You will start seeing certain chinks in their armor, certain weaknesses. And then you realize, wait, this guy isn't some big shot, right? He's just like me and you. He has flaws and he has this and he has that, right? And in reality, you've actually been comparing yourself to an unrealistic standard. An unrealistic standard that you created in your own head, that you breathe life to in your own head, and that you're comparing yourself to. You have basically made this individual into an imaginary version of yourself, or an avatar inside of your head, and then you've put that on a wall, and then you've said, I'm comparing myself to this person, and this person is that person. They're not. Everybody has flaws. You better understand that. So let this be the one thing that you take away from this video, and ignore everybody else that says anything else. Competition will make you feel better. Be competitive. Have competition. You are the predator. That is the prey. Focus on the task. Focus on the mission. Alan Abraham guarantees you feel significantly better.